In a just fully released NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, Herman Cain has rocketed to the top of the Republican field with 27%. Mitt Romney is now in second at 23%. Rick Perry slides to third with 16%. Ron Paul is holding steady at 11%, followed by Newt Gingrich at 8%. And the fall from grace for Michelle Bachmann has landed her at 5%. It's been a remarkable 2 months for Herman Cain. In the August version of this poll, Cain was tied for fifth with that 5% that Michelle Bachmann now has. Rick Perry claimed the top spot at 38%. And Mitt Romney was in the same number 2 spot, unchanged, at 23%. Whatever you do, don't call Herman Cain the flavor of the week.
I'm feeling great because a lot of people are taking a second look and they're saying maybe this long shot is not such a long shot. Flavor of the week? No, because there's a difference between the flavor of the week and Haagen-Dazs Black Walnut, because it tastes good all the time. Call me Haagen-Dazs Black Walnut.
Haagen-Dazs Black Walnut went after yesterday's front runner, Mitt Romney, in last night's Bloomberg Washington Post debate.
Can you name all 59 points in your 160-page plan, and does it satisfy that criteria of being simple, transparent, efficient, fair, and neutral?
Herman, I've had the experience in my life of taking on some tough problems. And I must admit that simple answers are always very helpful, but oftentimes inadequate.
In today's Daily Beast, Republican campaign consultant Mark McKinnon writes, Herman Cain is going to be around for a while, and people should start taking him seriously. If he's not president, he could be vice president, or bet the under and just start calling him Mr. Secretary. Joining me now, Mark McKinnon, former advisor to the Bush and McCain campaigns and the Republican advisor for NoLabels.org, and Howard Fineman, editorial director for the AOL Huffington Post Media Group and an MSNBC analyst. Thank you both for joining me tonight.
Hi, Lawrence.
Mark is, I'm not sure if the world is ready for Herman Cain, but Republican voters seem ready for Herman Cain. He didn't rocket all the way up to that now seems stratospheric 38% that Rick Perry was at in this poll last time around. But this is an amazing move for Cain in this poll.
It is an amazing move for Herman Cain, and I think it's very possible he could sustain it. He's been in the race. He got in pretty early. He's been pretty disciplined about his campaign. He's run a good campaign. He's a very sunny, optimistic guy. He's very confident. He's very bold. He's very assertive, as you've seen in the debates. And he absolutely dominated the debate last night. I'd say at least a third, maybe half of the debate was spent either talking about him or talking about his plan, or he was defending his plan or describing his plan. But it was all about Herman Cain. And when the debate's all about you, then it's not a surprise when you wake up the next day and you're sitting atop the polls. This race is all about Herman Cain right now.
Howard Fineman, I want to talk about this poll that we've just released, NBC News poll. There's many stunning things in it, one of them being the Mitt Romney number. The only number in the poll to hold steady, absolutely unchanged at 23. The front runner status switches around him. You know, Rick Perry drops out of that slot. Herman Cain moves into that slot. What's going on with Mitt Romney?
Well, his numbers don't move any more than his hair does. But if you talk to people in New Hampshire, when I was up there yesterday and today, I was at the debate, and then I heard Herman Cain before the New Hampshire legislature, which I want to tell you about. But first on Mitt Romney, somebody observed to me, a very shrewd politician up there observed to me that even though Romney's numbers in New Hampshire look good, and he's in the low 40s in New Hampshire, the roadsides, the signs you see for Mitt Romney are on the public highways and have been placed there by staff people. You don't see any Mitt Romney signs on people's lawns. It's the difference between paid staff on public highways and personal commitment. He just doesn't have much personal commitment. He has the establishment in New Hampshire, and that's about it. That's why he hasn't moved up or down. As far as Herman Cain is concerned, I can verify what Mark was saying. I saw Herman Cain speak to the New Hampshire legislature today. He did a much better job than any of the other candidates who spoke, and there were several others who did. He was pure Ronald Reagan. Sunny optimism, simple ideas, and faith in the future of the country. He touched every base. You know, he says, I've never been a politician, I've never been elected to office, but it was a very shrewd speech that touched on everything that core Main Street conservatives in New Hampshire care about, and he got a standing ovation at the end.
Howard, quickly, was it a scripted speech?
No. It's something that he's honed, you know, and as Mark said, he's run a good campaign. I don't think he has a good organization everywhere. But in terms of his message, he's honed it, not just on 999, but on, which is problematic, by the way, because it would involve a sales tax on milk and bread and beer and everything else, but on immigration, on regulation, on foreign policy. It's simple, clear, direct, and optimistic and enthusiastic about the future of individual liberty in the country. And it was even the Second Amendment. He finished with a flourish about the Second Amendment, which is very popular in New Hampshire on gun rights. Talked about ended the speech with the phrase "live free or die." It's corny, but it's what the New Hampshire people love. And as I say, you got a standing ovation at the end.
Mark, I'm going to dig into 999 later in the show in real detail, and I think I'm not the only one. I think now that he's the front runner, the details are going to matter. And it turns out it's not just a tax plan. It is specifically an abolish Medicare, abolish Social Security plan, not only stop the funding to them, actually abolish them. There's a lot there that's going to hurt him as this campaign progresses if Mitt Romney decides to go after him. I mean, Mitt Romney went after Rick Perry simply for calling Social Security a Ponzi scheme, which politically is bad enough. But Herman Cain actually wants to abolish it. Will Mitt Romney go after Herman Cain the same way that he went after Rick Perry?
I think my suspicion is that he won't right away. I think that they've seen enough people rise and fall now that they're going to give this a couple of weeks. They're going to let you guys take a look at him, vet him, which he really hasn't been vetted. His plan, obviously, is going to get a great deal of scrutiny. I don't think it purports to do what you're suggesting it does, but he'll have an opportunity to defend it, and we'll have a lot of time discussing it. And economists are pouring over it. Arthur Laffer came out and supported it today. So, listen, the interesting thing is that at least he's put a plan out there, and it's an interesting plan, and it's a bold plan, and that's what we need right now. So it's good that we're having this debate. But my suspicion is that Romney will give this a couple of weeks, and then if he has to load up, he'll do it later. But I think they see this as just another balloon that's likely to lose altitude over a couple of weeks.
Mark, later in the show, I'm going to read the part of Herman Cain's plan where he specifies how he wants to get rid of Social Security and Medicare. But, Howard, I want you to listen to what Herman Cain said this morning to Chuck Todd, and let's just consider whether answers like this are going to work as he goes further into the campaign. Let's listen to this.
How do you reassure voters that despite all the experience you're running on in the business community, your time on the Fed, you missed the housing bubble and you missed the economic collapse?
I will have people around me who are going to help me do deeper analyses on some of these things, okay? So, yeah, I missed some of these things. I'm not perfect. I'm very quick to say I made a mistake or I missed it, but I didn't have sophisticated analyses helping me to draw the conclusions that I was drawing at that time.
Howard, I'm going to get better advisors. How's that for an answer?
Well, that was a pretty lame answer because he's running on business expertise, but he's running on something beside that. And he's actually glorying in the fact and bragging about the fact that he's the only one in the race who isn't by any stretch of definition a politician, meaning he's never been an elected official. He's never served in public, elected official, never served in elective public office. Yes, he was on the Kansas City Fed, and he brags about that. He says, I'm going to bring an outside, fresh managerial look that's not been tainted by politics in the way Mitt Romney's experience or John Huntsman's experience has been tainted by politics. So he's bragging, in a way, about his ignorance of politics. He said before the legislature today, in answer to the notion that 999 could never pass in the legislatures of the country, or let alone in the Congress, he said, you know what? I don't propose things because I think they can pass. I propose them because I think they're right. And that, again, that was a line that also drew huge applause. He quoted from Ronald Reagan over and over and over again. Why other people in the race aren't doing it, I don't know. It works for Herman Cain.
Howard Fineman, Mark McKinnon, thank you very much for joining me tonight.